Greetings, salutations, happy Friday. It is Friday, April 17th, 2026. And after almost 90 degrees yesterday, we're down to a very lovely and reasonable 68 degrees right now with a high of 77. So it's going to be just a lovely warm day. And then we drop into the 60s for the foreseeable future. So, yeah, I'm happy about this. This is very nice. And yesterday was warm. Even I went to an event in the evening, and everybody was sweating. The room was full of people, and it was, people had worn, jackets, professional attire, and there was a lot of sweating going on. I think it took people by surprise. Wonderful event in the nonprofit space. Met some really great people, just fantastic people. There was two young women from Colombia who went to grad school, and they're working for a nonprofit. And they were just a reminder of how nice and warm and fun people can be. And I met a writer, and I met just all these interesting people. It was just not a community that I'm heavily involved in. I went to meet somebody there, but I felt part of it instantly. Just really nice people, a lot of fun, a lot of laughter. So that was good for the soul for sure. Today is 65 days until summer begins. And we should always remember there's trivia that you didn't know you couldn't live without. And so today, Lewis M. Norton patented a vat for forming pineapple-shaped cheese on this day in 1810. Truly a gift to humanity. I mean, if you don't have pineapple-shaped cheese, really, you haven't lived. What else? Geraldine Jerry Mock became the first woman to complete a solo flight around the world on this day in 1964, which, wow, what a feat. Fly around the world. What else? Apollo 13 returned safely to Earth after having major difficulties on this day in 1970. And a 6-pound, 10-ounce goldfish was caught in Lake Hodges, California on this day in 1996. A 6-pound goldfish. For anyone who's ever had a little fish tank with little golden fish, what are they, a few ounces? I'm trying to imagine what a 6-pound goldfish would even look like. I wonder if the goldfish had a bigger brain than normal, or was the brain still tiny? Who knows? All right, we are at Friday. I'm pretty tired after this week, but not necessarily in a bad way. Got a bunch of errands to run, and I don't really want to do them today, to be honest. But it's one of those things where you look over the weekend, it's time sensitive. And so if I don't do it today, then it's going to be very, very tedious, over the weekend. And so in order to make space, I'm just going to get her done. But it is going to take a big chunk out of my day, and that's okay. I'm tired, probably not a bad use of my time. I'm working on a presentation next week for a networking group, and then I'm going to use it for another group I'm in. And sure enough, as I've talked about before, I started to see, yesterday was when the curtain started pulling back in my visualization of at least the flow of what the presentation is going to be, a little self-assessment I'm going to bring into the mix. And, I started kind of coming up with the data, the stories and the data that I'm going to bring in. And now I just am going to need to distill it down into a punchy, very mini kind of presentation or lecture, but make it interactive, have an activity, capture the learning. That's really it. That's the arc. So, but it's all about setting up in the beginning so that people are engaged and interested in it. And I'm right there. I'm like 85% there now after yesterday. So I think this weekend I'll have that all pretty much handled and be ready for that group. And then the meeting the next weekend that I'm going to do a little bit longer version of it in. So as usual, that's how it works. Put the call out and it comes. And in the meantime, what's really on my mind is that building any kind of business is going to have, in the beginning especially, it's going to be very, very rocky and very up and down. You get a victory and then you have to wait a while for the next thing, but you got to keep plowing away. And there does come a point at which you go, how can I create a lower floor, a safety net, if you will, in the meantime? And so I think I'm going to look at that today. I think I need at this stage, just mentally, I need to, even if it's just a little bit higher floor, and see what my options are on that. And I think that's a good thing. That, one of the things is you think, well, gee, I need to, it's not sustainable yet. It's been a few months. I mean, and so how do you buy yourself some more time while it's getting more and more lift? And there can, I can sometimes have a narrative in my head that's sort of all or nothing, kind of binary. Well, gee, if you go out and get a different kind of contract work that's unrelated to make money right now, just to keep yourself stable in the meantime, that's some kind of failure. And I don't know where that narrative comes from, but it's not very useful. So I think we're going to eschew that one, and hopefully not speak of it again. So I am going to be looking at what my options are to just bring in a little bit of money every month, guaranteed, without having to go keep pitching, and allow the other things, the foundation, to ferment and to blossom, to grow. Let's switch the analogy. I mean, we're in a garden, we planted these seeds, we're tending, and there are seasons, and I can see all the signs of huge opportunity, but it's not necessarily a straight upward trajectory. And how do you handle it when the trend line is down for a second before the proverbial market kicks back up and keeps going up and up and up? And that really is the cycle of it. I know that. I've been through this long enough. So I'm allowing myself to really think about that and spend a little bit of time, shoring up, shoring up the foundation, shall we say, so that it is not an arresting fear that hits me every time there's a little bit of a lull between, where I'm at and the next bevy of new clients. So I'm grateful to have some clients, very grateful, and I love them. All right, I'm going to leave it there. What do you need to do to just make sure that the floor is solid and high enough that you're not going to drown? It's okay to do it. What does that mean for you if you're building something, So anyway, I hope that's inspiring, or at least informational for somebody out there. And I hope you get some good rest this weekend, or enjoy yourself in some special way. I don't know what I'm doing. It'll be work and gym and meeting with some good friends, that sort of thing. So have a great weekend. Thanks for listening this week. As always, be good to yourself and others. And we will check back again with you on Monday. Bye-bye for now.